All right. So, all right, I'm gonna say it. It's the title. I should have put it. I think I put it in the title of the video, but I need to make this video quick, or I need to make this. I've been meaning to make this for like about a month or like a few months since like Valentine's Day 2023. So, I'm gonna say it. Okay, I am not. I'm gonna like get myself crucified. This is like the two most popular ships currently right now is the Johnny Test, and I mean that's the most predictable, the Bike and Anji. Those two things are going on right now, and I have my own ship that goes against both of these. So I'm gonna say that I'm not a Johnny Test believer or a Bonji or whatever it's called. I'm not a supporter of those. I love the art; they're cool. That's fine. But I've got my ship that I need to explain. So all right. So I'm gonna say it in the most polite way possible, not be rude or anything like that. But you're wrong, and I disagree. And my ship is better. So let me explain. So as you know, if you've been seeing my content or just interacted with me ever, and you can see probably on the screen that I'm a gigantic Johnny fan, so just get that out of the way. So I have extreme bias for him. I love this character. And number two, I'm a complete fiend for lore in anything I play. Like I legit just read wikis for fun and shit like that. So and then also, I like to rant a lot, so I was like, I might as well get this off my chest. I've like written this down multiple times, but I was like, might as well make a video on this. So Fiend lore and everything. So I have my own ship, and I'm going to basically source it with lore because that's how I do things. I try to be logical about it, and I know ships or anything like with love is like it's not gonna be logical, but I don't care. I saw something in the lore that I just like had to say. So before I like get to, I'm not gonna skip straight to my ship. I'm also going to kind of go. It's gonna be like a kind of a dynamic analysis between these two ships that are going on currently. The two I mentioned, Johnny Test and the Bonji, Baiken X Anji one. And then I'm gonna talk about mine. I just want to see like say my opinion on those two, on like why I think they don't work in my head. So this is just my opinion. So Baiken X Anji, first point. All right, this is like the most popular one. This one's been around for like super long, just because these two characters. It's like the classic, like two opposites attract kind of thing, where it's just like, oh, Anji's like super loosey goosey, go with the flow type of guy, and then Baiken is like super angry, super strict, super stubborn type of shit. And then also like all their stuff is like them together, because like that's like the only person that hangs out around on or that hangs out around Baiken is Anji. And so they're like, oh, they just ship. I know a lot of people probably don't agree with it. Uh, it's very popular for that reason, but I just don't see it. So like first things first is Baiken and Anji's thing is like, I see it more as like they're definitely friends. And the way it kind of goes is that like it's where the way it started out is that Anji immediately he stole the fans he uses. He stole those. You know where he stole them from? The Japanese colony. Okay, he stole something from the Japanese colony. Oh no, no, it's not just that he stole them from the Japanese colony. Those fans, those are magical fans that protect the Japanese colony. So he's endangered the Japanese colony. And guess what? Who cares about the Japanese colony and the culture in general? Baiken. And she on multiple occasions she will kill a motherfucker just to protect the two things she cares about. Actually, the one thing she cares about right now, I'm talking like exit period, but the one thing she cares about right now, and it's Japan, and the other thing she cares about is revenge. So two things. Anji's already crossed the line and fucking over the Japanese colony and shit like that. And then the reason, like, she of course she throws hands with him at like one point. I think it's like in like Guilty Gear. I can't say the exact game, but they've thrown hands before, actually multiple times, and she hasn't killed him because I think she does care about like keeping the culture alive. That's like one of her things. And since he was raised in the Japanese colony and stuff like that, that she probably doesn't want to kill like the few people that are Japanese. But she will attack them. Like she's done it multiple times apparently. I was looking in the wiki and she has attacked other Japanese people but who've endangered the culture itself. But so they're already like that. But the thing is, she won't kill him So he kind of sticks around because he does. Okay, so like on one side he does care, Anji. Anji does care about Baiken, but the other way around is Baiken tolerates him. And she's kind of stuck with him. She's like, I'm not gonna kill you or anything like that, but just don't bother me. And but he fucking sticks around like a fly. And so then it just ends up where it's just like she's stuck with him, and then eventually he's like being goofy and stuff like that around her and stuff like that. And eventually she like grows to like kind of respect him and stuff like that. And then in Exerd, like it's shown that she like listens to him. She's like follows like, oh, he's got some like tips on stuff and stuff like that. But she's never like, you know, this guy I might want to be around. I see him more as like a, it's like super brotherly, where it's just like he annoys me. I don't really love him like that. Like I that's where I just don't see the romantic aspect for this ship. All right, on to the next one. Next point. Now we're gonna go to the Johnny test one. This is like the gigantic one right now. And this is the one that definitely super pushed me to make this video like early on this year. Now it's like super blown up now that Johnny is coming out for Strive. So I had to get this video out soon just because of this ship. And I was like, before more lore comes out, I'm like, I gotta make this video. So the Johnny test one. There is a connection. The story is basically that both Johnny and Testament, they during that whole shenanigans with Dizzy, the angelic girl that or the gear that is like 3 years old. She basically gets a bounty on her, and then a bunch of shenanigans ensues. And she's a gear, so obviously that's not like a great thing. So Testament, who's also a gear but was turned into a gear later, they vow to protect Dizzy, and they are like hell bent on protecting Dizzy. And then Johnny later on eventually accepts Dizzy as being like one of the jellyfish pirates. And so he's like a kind of like a father figure to her. And so like instantly Testament and Johnny are like on the same page. They're kind of like both like parental figures to Dizzy, where like Johnny's like kind of like fatherly, and then Testament, I don't know what their aspect, like their relationship. Very Testament was very angry during that period, so I don't know. But they had the same goal. They both agreed. They both got along. Very, and also in Guilty Gear Strive, they have very similar like styles, especially with the hats and stuff like that. So I can see where the ship comes from. The ship definitely comes from them just both kind of vibing and being like, oh, kind of like a. I think people are kind of going for like a mom dad kind of thing, where it's just like, oh, the parents and stuff like that. I I don't really see it, and let me explain why I don't really see it. Now I'm gonna go to like Strive era. Testament is back now. Apparently they had been like kind of gone. They do hang around the ship, and Exeter Johnny does mention that, where it's just like, oh, Testament does like keep in contact after all the business is done with Disney. Disney's no longer in danger, but Testament still hangs out with the Jellyfish Pirates occasionally, but like never like anything like super serious. Johnny doesn't really see Testament as like anything like that, but I'm not gonna kill the ship over that. But in during the Strive area right now, Testament's come back after just kind of like accepting and just going like they really are. They're on that like self-love arc right now, where they're like they totally are like accepted who they are, and they're just like enjoying life. And so I don't think this ship falls apart on Testament's side. I think Testament might have a chance with Johnny, but the problem, I'm gonna say as a Johnny fan, Johnny is the problem. I think Johnny is the problem in this ship. That's my problem. As we all know, or as some of you might know, Johnny's a very flirty guy, and he has a history of just not respecting women. He is a known womanizer, and I'm going to say it, a man whore. Like there's just on the record, everybody knows it, and he just does not stick with anybody. Like he does not stick around. He's a hit and quit it type of guy. He does not respect. He's just not too great to women or to anyone he's attracted to. So that's where like my brain is like, oh, that's not going to work out, because Testament right now, and probably will always be from now on, will just be like they have so much respect for themselves right now, and I just don't even think Testament would stick around that. Like if Johnny starts playing around and shit like that, playing with Testament's heart, I think they get out of there as soon as they see like Johnny's a walking red flag. They just get out of there. I don't see it. I don't think Testament would stick around for that, and they're already enjoying life already by themselves and with the hoes, the two succubi that they just hang out with. They're and the two two old people that they found in like the woods. They apparently they hang out with them too. So I don't see anything really romantic because Johnny just ain't gonna take that shit seriously. I think that's where it mostly like falls apart. All right, now let's just get on to like the main ship. If were you able to guess what I think the ship is? Okay, you probably do know. It's Bike and Johnny. That's like the main ship that I'm kind of like that's my ship. So what is it called? What should I call it? Like By J, BJ, Jokin, just Biking X Johnny. I don't know. I don't have a name yet. We'll work on that. It's not gonna be on the title, but we work on it. All right. So like at first, like when I do suggest this, most of the time, whenever I suggest, oh, I feel Biking X Johnny, most people are just like, oh, Biking uses a sword, which is kind of samurai-like. Johnny uses a sword. He's kind of samurai-like. I see it, kind of, I guess. Like, look, I'm a lore freak. Anything I do, or I'm a lore freak, and my logic is I just overthink things. It's gonna be way deeper than that, and that's what this whole video is. Or it's not gonna be deeper than that. It's just gonna be way wilder than that. There's gonna be a lot more to it than just simple aesthetics. But they do have that. They do have that similar aesthetic. But I just saw something like really like one day, like it kind of clicked for me, and I was just like, I kind of see it. Even though I must confess, I am also a fan of Viking as well. But so anyway, I'm gonna bring this up. Now we're gonna just go into I'm gonna go into Biken's story and then I'm gonna bring up Johnny's story because I noticed this. So what's Biken's story? So during the Crusades, Japan, of course, as some might know, in Guilty Gear lore, before the Crusades, Japan just gets fucking deleted. Japan literally gets ripped off the face of the earth by I'd say like a group that man, a mix of that man, Happy Chaos, a bunch of different factors happen, but Japan is deleted. So Japan is gone, and the Crusades happen, and now gears are a threat to humanity, and so gears are going around everywhere, and so Biken's family's just in that crossfire, and they aren't killed by like the deletion of Japan, but they are killed by gears. And in that process, Biken loses her whole family and all of Japan and is taken away by gears. And so she vows revenge on whoever fucking sent all the gears and whoever fucking destroyed Japan. And so like that's her response basically to that is either revenge and protect Japan, like I mentioned earlier. So it's like mostly negative, where she just goes down this stubborn path of her just hunting down whoever she needs to hunt down to like get revenge. And that's it. She's taking people out. She's planning on taking anybody out who gets in her way and taking out whoever's responsible. Fucking getting rid of people. Now, what's Johnny's story? Of course, I know Johnny's story by heart. Well, during the Crusades, Johnny's father, the only person that's ever cared for him apparently, is killed by a gear. And in that his response is actually kind of the opposite. He goes into kind of like a depression where he goes into solitude similar to Biken, but he doesn't really vow revenge. He just instead of vowing revenge, he actually just goes at it alone, never wanting to lose anything again, similar to Biken again. But eventually he realizes that that what happened to him was just horrible. And so that's what makes him start the Jellyfish Pirates. And then also the apparently his father I guess influenced him to really respect women, and then Johnny took that to the extreme, so he only rescues women, but he's trying. That's what I love. He's definitely he's trying, so that's why I love him. So yeah, in response, it's kind of like he eventually he's kind of like the end of he's at the end of Biken's journey, if I could say, because she's still on that revenge path, and he's kind of gotten out of his depression, and he's actually started helping people instead in response to it. And he's actually just improved a bunch of people's lives and stuff like that. And he's just the story is just so similar, and to see Johnny be at the end of it, but he's not the end of it. He's I think he's a little farther along in his arc, but he still does have his issues, as we mentioned, the womanizing and stuff like that. But he still has his issues and stuff like that, which probably do stem from that trauma. Him being a womanizer, I said earlier that he went at it alone and stuff like that, and he's not very emotional. He only shows it through his flirtation and stuff like that. But most of the time he's not like crazy like open about stuff. So he's like only kind of open to like his daughters, I guess. But when it comes to other women, bro, he just like does not stick around at all. So that's probably like one issue that he's still probably stuck with. But I just love the parallels between their stories. It's like the exact same, both losing like the same thing, and then they just have different responses. I think it just like work out because like Baiken usually doesn't tolerate other people, and that's like a fact. And the only person she air quote kind of tolerates is Anji, but he's like forced himself to be like around there. And again, you could say, oh, didn't Anji kind of like go through the same thing where like he has like gone through the same trauma of like losing Japan? I'd say no, not really, because he was raised in the Japanese colony, so he didn't go through like that or that traumatic experience of like losing everyone at once. So I'd say Johnny's like probably like one of the only Johnny and the Jellyfish Pirates are one of like the few only people in the world or like around that she knows of that could probably relate at least. So they have that point. This is like the one person that maybe Johnny could open up to, and maybe the one person Bikid could open up to. And two, it's also they have like very similar interests. I'm gonna go into the next point, spool it. Is Baiken interested? That is the big thing because I kind of I'm shooting down Anji X Baiken because I don't think Baiken's interested. So I don't think it would be fair. It wouldn't be fair for me to be like, oh, Baiken's interested in Johnny without some like I put some proof in it. So I'll bring it up again. So one alternate ending is Johnny and Baiken do eventually like meet in Guilty Gear X Plus, and it's like a alternate ending, but still it is an ending. It's also an ending, so I still consider it in character. But Johnny shows up, and of course he does his normal thing. He flirts with every single other girl, but he flirts with Baiken and shows up in her story, and he goes like, "Would you mind sharing like a drink and stuff like that with me?" And she goes, "Fuck off." Of course, she always that's standard Baiken. But then he kind of like challenges her, or she challenges him, and she's like, "Fine, I'm gonna beat your ass, but if you beat me, I might get a drink." Anyway, in that alternate ending, Johnny gets his ass beat, but he gets his ass beat. But then he goes, "So do I get that drink?" And then she goes, "Okay, maybe." And she actually gets a drink with like Johnny, even though she lost, which is like that's what like the part that like kind of like intrigued me. And I didn't hear about this, and the fact that like she would go and like kind of do that, and it's like one of the few times it's really weird that she actually like smiles. I don't, it's not canonically because it's an alternate ending, but it's a weird time that she actually is like seen happy in an ending, and that's super rare for like pre-Exerd shit like that. Most of the time, it's like really dark and not really too great, like for her. So I it feels like the writers are kind of like winking at something like that, where it's like maybe Johnny does like have a chance with her. But the thing is, the one thing that is stopping her from like getting into anything like that is obviously her revenge. So that's not going to change. But if she the and if she decides to like kind of I don't want to say get over it, that's not right. But if she decides one day that, to kind of put that away and, decide on something, an alternate path in life, then maybe like Johnny might have a chance then. And in Strive now we have Delilah, who's forced her. Delilah is just Delilah had a similar experience to Baiken and stuff like that. So that's what's kind of happening in Strive is Delilah is Bedman's younger sister, and then Delilah went through the same thing where like Bedman being her older brother, he's killed, and Delilah vows revenge, and Baiken sees that, and then now Baiken's kind of right now in Strive kind of on the uptick or like on the up and up because now she's kind of not about revenge anymore because now she's focused on like taking care of Delilah, which is like awesome. So I'm thinking Johnny may have a chance now, especially going back to all the points I noted. All right, now on to the real problem. The problem man, the problem child. Would Johnny commit? All right, all right, Lopez, all right, Brian. Why You said this for te the Testament ship. This is why I mentioned both other ships and why I didn't think they would work. Why do you think Johnny would stick around for Baiken? What is different about why is Baiken different from the other girls he would interact with? Again, I could say them having similar stories, and he always connects to like, and he's been shown to connect to especially women who have similar stories to him, because all the other orphans have that story, like May and April and all of them are all orphans, and he sympathizes with all of them. And those note those are the only people that he sticks or only women that he sticks around consistently. But they are his daughters. That's different. So it's he can't be going around doing that. I do not support. I guess I should mention I don't. I'm not a big fan of Johnny X May. So just to bring that up, but those are the only people that he just consistently like stick around with and does like kind of semi open up to. So I think he could definitely talk to Baiken about the stuff like that. But that's not like the one thing that convinced me is that connection there. The one thing that convinced me though was that I the first time I like found out about Johnny was in Exerd. So my perspective on Johnny is from his interactions in Exerd. So I would like to bring them up or whatever. So I was like the main thing that motivated me and like that definitely brought me onto this ship was the win quotes. And I love win quotes in fighting games. But I noticed it because I'm fucking playing the shit out of Johnny and I was reading every single win quote and I was memorizing all of them because I'm a nerd like or I'm a Johnny fanatic like that. And I was just like, you know, again, Johnny does not talk great about women. He's not the best to women, ironically, even though he's all about respecting them. Most of the time, he's usually there's two interactions he has. The two types of interactions he has with the female cast of Guilty Gear. He either is flirting with them in the win quote, or he's basically going, "I know women. You don't live up to the standards of what a woman should be," and that is like kind of like, "Eesh." So most of the time it's either judgmental or flirty, and that's what I noticed for like all of them. So like I can bring up like the number one that came to mind because I've been against a lot of jams that whenever he wins against Jam, he goes, gamblers are constantly making calculations in their head. But the scary thing about a beautiful set of those thighs, like yours, is that they make it all go to hell. Talking about her legs. And then, I can bring up for Eno where he just judges her and goes like, there's no such thing as a witch in this world, just bad people. I'm aiming to eliminate any words that put women in a bad light. So he's saying like, yeah, girl, you are putting women in like a yeah, you're not you're ruining women. I gotta get rid of you. I gotta get out of here. He's like, you can't be acting like this girl. And then again, of course, like another interaction is like Elfelt. He talks about like obviously they'd be at odds because Alpha is a character that just wants to marry everyone. So he's just like, nah, that's not cool. He's like, can't be doing that, girl. And then Ramathal, he judges her on her anger and stuff like that, or it just says you can accept fights, but I wouldn't recommend picking them. You need a cooling off period. Just every time it's either judgmental or flirty. But then I played against Baiken one day, and like I immediately was just like, I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, the thing is, I like this one so much. I like this quote so much that I even put it as my Discord bio and stuff like that. So I thought it was really romantic. I don't know. You might hear it differently, but this is what Johnny says to Paikin after he wins. Whether or not a woman is perfumed, whether her hair is perfectly in place or going every which way, a man can always see true beauty, and you are one fine lady. I love it. It's Baiken is like the one character, the one female character where he just completely like he could easily like I so when I like started playing Johnny, I understood all the quotes. I thought he would just immediately just go for like the jam route where he just goes like and he mentions he's gonna like mention Biken's her uh her you know mention that and I was like, oh no, he's about to talk about that, isn't he? And then he doesn't, and I'm like, oh okay. And then I was just like, he could have easily mentioned her stubbornness and just being like, "Oh, why are you so angry all the time, girl?" Like that's not what women do. Nope, he doesn't do that either. Why doesn't he talk about her being angry all the time? He could mention that you're. He could be like the other characters, telling Biken, "Hey, revenge isn't cool." No, he doesn't do that. He he's like he could also again mention. He does mention it. He could go, "Girl, your hair's a mess. Fix that." Nah, he doesn't say that. He doesn't mention any of those three things. You know what he? You know what he does? He sees that and he goes, "Girl, all of that." Through all of that, I see a fine woman, and I was like, oh, okay. I think he does. I think that was what confirmed it for me that he had a soft spot. He definitely has a soft spot for biking, and like this is where like it all started for me. And so then that's why I'm pushing. That's why I'm pushing this this 2023 this in this video that Biken X Johnny is the ship for these two. I believe in this ship because honestly, I do mention that Testament, is got that self-respect, and Biken does too. She's definitely got that confidence, but I think she's got that fire to fucking put Johnny in his place. And she does. She literally kicks his ass in one of the alternate endings. And if Johnny starts messing around like he usually does, he does have that soft spot, but he does have that habit where he doesn't want to stick around. But if Johnny starts fucking, messing around, I like the dynamic where like easily Biken could be like, "Hey, bitch, stop doing that shit," and I she could shut him up, and I love it. And I think I really love it. It's the very similar dynamic of it's the similar dynamic of like Herbie. She's got that fire, and he's got that he's got that looseness. I've seen it before as a Hispanic. That's what we're looking at. And also, I'm trying like I just think it'd be perfect because it'd be the perfect mix of boom, we have Johnny and the Jellyfish Pirates, all his kids, and then now we have Biken and Delilah. I'm trying to build Biken X Johnny is would be the greatest. Here we go, the greatest blended family of all time. You can't deny that. That's a fucking that's a power family right there. That'd be insane. I just I just love that whole dynamic. So I hope you hear what I was like trying to say this whole time. You can have your ships and all that, but this is my ship, and I just love it. I just can't ignore like it's so like my ship is super like based in the lore, and I really love like the story it kind of like tells, where it's like two people that go through very similar things, but they end up very differently. But I think it'd be a really nice um I don't know about ending, but yeah, I guess I could say ending or like a nice conclusion to like both of their arcs, or at least Johnny's arc. I'd like to see my boy happy. So, thank you for watching. How far did you get into this? I like had to make this video, so or like I didn't have to make. I'm just like super happy. Like I definitely had to get this video out super fast, but thanks for watching, and I don't know if I'll make more of these, but if you guys want to see more of these where I like just fucking mumble like crazy on the mic about Guilty Gear shit, then sure, that'd be cool. But anyway, see you.